Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you very much for joining me today for another card making tutorial featuring some brand new products. Now this was a card I made for the team blog hop, which happened over the weekend, so this is the video to go with that. So if you do want to pop into the description, there's going to be a link to my blog post, and then within that there's a link to all the other team members who participated in the hop. Okay, so they're all using brand new stuff. So like I say, this is the all featuring brand new products, and everything on here is new apart from the ink colours and stuff from the cardstock. So 2 stamp sets, well, 2 stamp bundles actually, we're going to be using with this. So the first one is Two Tone Flora. I think this one is part of a bigger suite as well, but I'm just going with the die bundle. I can actually show you the catalogue in some future videos, so I can actually show you some of the other products. So two-step stamping with lots of nice flowers on there. The dies are great because you don't only get the dies to cut out all of those images, I believe. Yep, everything on there is can be die cut. All the larger ones, so that one, and that one, so the darker images there. But you also get this lovely background die, okay, which is really cool. Really lots and lots of detail on that, so we will be using that. So I'll just pull that out of the packet as well. All the dies now have the same name as the stamp set as well, which makes it even easier for me to remember when I'm showing you on camera now. And then, because there's no sentiments in the Two Tone Flora, I've brought in something fancy. So some different sentiments on here, but nonetheless really cool. Nothing fancy, just love. Oh, that's lovely. The good you do come back to you. There's a nice sympathy one. You matter to so many, that is really nice. There's another grateful for you, a simple happy birthday congratulations, and a nice thank you that we're going to use. And then the coordinating die set is actually this lovely set of labels, which also includes an irregular hexagon, which we're using on the card today. But there's these little extra details which can be used as the sort of tag toppers there as well. Alright, so that's a nice little die set, which I think could stand alone. You don't necessarily have to have both sets. So if you like the dies and don't fancy the sentiments, you could get those as a standalone product as well. Okay, so here's where we're aiming for. Okay, so on this one, this is a lovely bordered ribbon, they call it, and it's almost like the denim ribbon we had before, but it is in Night of Navy, so it's a darker shade, and we've got this lovely edge to it, which is really nice. And in the background there's some iridescent gems there, pastel iridescent gems. I'll show you the packet of those when we get to it. Okay, so this featured Balmy Blue and Night of Navy, and I brought in Mint Macaron for the foliage. Okay, so we're going to do a different colourway, like I always try and give you an alternative idea. So we're actually going to go purples, and we're going to bring in Fresh Freesia and Blackberry Bliss. I've just realised I need another piece of cardstock for something as well, so I'm just going to grab one out of my, I pre-cut a whole heap of cardstock, so I'm just going to grab another piece out of my little bin there. We'll have to cut that down because I need another layer to mat on behind the Blackberry Bliss there, so we'll cut that down when we get to it. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. This smaller panel here, we're going to be die cutting with the decorative panel, so we will get that done. This has been cut to 3 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that's to make it fit onto a UK A2 card. Okay, so the die plate itself has been sized for an American A2 card, which are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So what I've done is I've kept the height and then just made the width match for a UK card, so just made it a bit skinnier. Okay. Alright, and then obviously adjusted all the other layers accordingly. Okay, so we're just going to lay that on top. I'm going to have to run this through the Big Boss. So the Big Boss is just set up on my desk all the time, just off to my right here. It's just there. So for die cutting we need the 1, 2 and a 3 cutting platform, which we will put onto the machine ready. Okay, we then place our cardstock onto that cutting plate, and then we'll put another clear cutting plate on top, and that creates the die cutting sandwich that we need. Okay, so if I just pop that in front of you, so I'm just setting it up like this, so you're going to see some glare from the light, sorry, but I'm just going to lay that on top of there. It doesn't really matter if you know, whether there's a bigger gap on the sides or not, unless you particularly want to make sure that certain aspects are covered. So that's the sandwich, and then it will just sort of feed it into the machine and roll that through. Because it's a detailed die, I'm going to have to go through a couple of times, so I'm just going to run that forwards and backwards just a couple of times, and it just helps just to make sure that everything's been cut. So when we lift that off, there's already loads of stuff that's all popping out on there, which we can just knock away. So it's just lightly tap on there, a lot of it will come loose. Okay, and if it hasn't quite die cut through, which there is a little bit there that hasn't quite gone through, we can just wipe off our cutting plate. If you leave any of that stuff on the cutting plate, it might make an impression. Well, it will give an impression actually, there's no might about it, because it will almost emboss it into your project. So we'll just, while it's still stuck in there, we'll put it back in. Okay, and roll it through another couple of times. It's quite normal for that to happen with the detailed dies. You might have to do an extra couple of passes on there. Okay, so that extra run through seems to have done the trick. Okay, so we can just start knocking out some of these bits. See how easy they all just come out once it's cut through. It's very, very simple just to get all those things pulled out. Okay, so that die will need to be cleaned off before we use it again, but just for now we're going to pop it to one side, and I can do that later, but I will need the die cut plate cleaned off, so I'll just do that without it going all over the floor, preferably. Sorry, you've got a blank screen to look at the moment, but we'll just need to make sure the stuff's tidied, otherwise it will cause problems for us when we do the rest of our card. Okay, and I figured that, you know, sometimes it's good for you to see some of the other steps as well. So we're going to knock out all these little pieces that may have just stuck in the die. The paper fibres just, you know, they just want to hold on to each other, you know, and the natural material doesn't always cut perfectly straight away, but they'll be loose enough just for you to knock out. And if the odd one has stuck in, then I'm not going to worry about it, because I think there might be a piece up here that's still not quite gone through, so that's fine. So just using this poke tool, use the take your pick tool. This is just a tool I've had for a long time. It's sort of, I don't know, just in the habit of using it, I think. So this last little piece is just holding on a little bit to there, so I'm just going to there we go, persuade that to come out, and that's it. That's all those little pieces done. Okay, so that's that. Okay, and then we can just make sure that the work surface is clean for the rest of it. Okay, in fact I'm going to just, instead of just pulling up, I can just see those going all over the place. Let me just put those to one side before we actually in the bin, because otherwise I just see them migrating in other places. I'm actually going to get this stuck down now as well, because I want to make sure that it's fully dry. So we're going to have to use our Tombow adhesive for that. So I'm going to use one of the little silicone crab sheets which I forgot to get out. Turn that over, and we're just going to pop some dabs of glue in and around here. So we're not trying to coat this in any way, we just want enough to secure it in place. Obviously some nice bigger portions here, so we can make sure that that's got some little dots of glue on as well. Okay, so the more places you can put it, the more secure it will be, obviously. And then just a couple of bits here and there on these finer bits. You can put sticky sheet on the back if you want. If you like using that kind of thing, then that's fine. I actually I don't get on very well with sticky sheets. I prefer to use this method. So there's just a few dots of glue all over the back of that. Okay, and we're just going to carefully place that onto this blackberry bliss layer, which I've cut just slightly bigger. So this is 1/8 of an inch taller and wider than the original piece of basic white. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to one side, and I'm going to put one of my E-blocks on top of it, like that, just to keep that in place. So we'll just pop that to one side and let it dry completely while we do a little bit of stamping. Now, I've already done some ahead of time, just so that we could save some time with the die cutting. So already got a couple of the little flowers already done, and I've already die cut a pair of those. So we're not going to stamp any more little ones, but I'll show you what I did using the larger flower. Okay, so these are the little ones. So it's a two-step stamp, right? So I do the detailed bit first, and then go over the top with the solid image. So that was the little teeny tiny one that stamps this image here. And then same with this one, did the detail first and then the solid image over the top to get these little flower clusters. Okay, so this is one of the larger flowers out of the set, and we're going to I'm just going to show you exactly what I did to achieve that. So like I say, the cardstock colours are Fresh Freesia and Blackberry Bliss, so those are the inks that we're using. So we'll start with the Blackberry Bliss, and just light tapping on your ink pad to transfer that ink across to your stamp. Firm but not excessive pressure, just to leave it on for a second and transfer that ink. Okay, just bear with me a second, I do like to get this ink off my stamps as soon as possible to minimise staining. Okay, and while the Blackberry Bliss is out, we're also going to stamp the sentiment from the Something Fancy stamp set. So that's the thank you there, that's just popping in across there. And again, firm but not excessive pressure, just to transfer that ink. That's Blackberry Bliss done. And then we need Fresh Freesia. I'm just bringing in some scrap paper because we want to stamp off a little bit. If you go over the image straight and solid, it can be a bit much, so especially with a new ink pad. Okay, so inking that up, And then on some scrap, I'm just going to take off some of the excess and then sort of around the edges a little bit as well. So it's not very even, but flower petals aren't necessarily all one colour, are they? They've got like little sort of striations and more colour here and there. So I'm going to hover over the top and look for lining up particularly this bottom edge with those Blackberry Bliss lines. Okay, it's much easier to line up this portion over the detailed stamp than it is to do it the other way around. I'm going to again firm, flat, don't rock it around, pressure, hold it down and lift up. Okay, so we've got more of a, shall we call it a splodgy look, okay, which is exactly what I wanted to go for. Okay, didn't want it all nice, all really solid like that. Okay, so just cleaning that off again. Just do like to do that. So there's a die to cut that out, and like I say, we've got this it's not actually a regular hexagon, it's just at least I don't think it is, it doesn't look like one. I haven't actually measured it. The hexagon's going to be used to cut that. We've got a die to do the bloom there. So I just use some old washi tape that I have knocking about. You want something low tack. So there are low tack tapes that you can get. They can be a little bit on the pricey side. But frog tape for delicate surfaces in the DIY section. In fact, I saw some in Aldi today at a good price as well, so sometimes you can find these bargains here and there. The other thing we need is some leaves. I'm actually going to bring in Pear Pizzazz for this one. It was mint macaron on the original sample, so we'll just pop some Pear Pizzazz again. Just really light tapping, just rest, you know, I'm not pouncing hard on the ink pad, just drop it on and lift it up again. So we'll pop that on, and again, you know, firm, even pressure, lift up, done. Okay, it's really easy. A little bit of practice just to, with the inking of the stamp, and then once you've got that, it's down. Okay. Just grab another little piece of tape here. Even though it's low tack, I still take off a bit of the sticky onto the back of my hand. Again, just looking for some points to line that up. You can just die cut that out of coloured cardstock as well, obviously. Right, with our big boss then, we'll be able to cut out all of this stuff at the same time. So just popping that onto the plate there. I've already got these already done, so we just need to reposition these onto these other images. Okay, so again, really nice and easy to do. Just take your time, line it up, get those anchor points in, and secure that in place. Now what I don't want is those dies overlapping each other, so that one I can't stick down at the same time, so we're going to have to do a second pass with that one, which is a bit of a shame. Okay, right, so let's pop that one that way around then. That one that way around, and we'll run those through, and we'll just have to do that extra little flower separately. Oops. I let go of the handle halfway, that was what that noise was. Okay, so now we've got the leaves, got our sentiment. So the little bits of washi I use over and over until they aren't sticky anymore. That's our flower. Isn't that colour combination really cool? I like it. Like it. So that's that. And we've got some scrap paper there. So little set of flowers. So we just need to just go through once more with the for this little flower here. So the only thing you can put, you know, all the dies can be cut on the same piece, right, but they can't overlap. So that's the only way you'll damage a die, is if you try and die cut it because you've overlapped them. Okay, that's the only time you'll get those, you'll damage those. Rightio, all our elements are here. Okay, the other thing I've done ahead of time is coloured some ribbon. So I've just used the Blackberry Bliss Stampin' Blends marker. Okay, I used the brush tip of the dark marker to colour this metallic ribbon. Now, I can't swear if that's actually still a current ribbon or not. Okay, but it might have retired already, but either way, we don't have any Blackberry Bliss ribbon, so I have opted to colour my own. But we do have some other alternatives. So for example, another one that I thought I could use would be this burlap ribbon, which is a combo pack with one of the other sweets. So even though it's called burlap, that's just more of a description of the actual look of it rather than the texture. This is a nice soft ribbon with some cute white stitching on it, and it comes in a duo pack with some real red ribbon there. So that would be an alternative. And then we've got the crinkled seam binding, which is in plain white, which you could colour as well. So there's other options there. Okay, right, so that piece of cardstock is dry. Now what I do need to do is cut my layer, which I forgot about. Okay, so just to confirm the width on this, so the white was 3.5, and then this is whatever that is plus an eighth, so that's what, 3 5/8, right? So we need to take the white layer up to 3.5 or 3 3/4. That's what that is, 3 3/4. Okay, and then again the white portion was 5 1/4, so this is 5 3/8, the Blackberry Bliss, so we need to take the white layer to 5.5. I love that paper trimmer, it's really easy to use. Okay, so our Blackberry Bliss portion is going to be secured onto that white layer now. Just using Stampin' Seal, which is my preferred adhesive. Oh. Things are going all a bit wonky today. It just doesn't seem to be, everything just seems to be not in the right place today. Okie dokie, right, and then we've got this piece of ribbon to secure, which we're going to do towards the bottom. So again, I'm just going to wax some seal on the bottom there, and take this shorter length and just pop that across there, across the bottom. Just want enough seal on the back just to secure it really, and then the whole lot's going to be secured anyway onto the card base. So we're just going to put plenty of seal on the back of there and put that onto our Fresh Freesia card base, like so. Okay, the longer piece is going to be a ribbon. Sorry, what's that? It is already ribbon. Let's tie it into a bow, shall we? Just using our bunny ear method. This is a stiffer ribbon anyway, but the colouring it with blends will make it a little stiffer to work with, but nothing to worry about. And again, you know, you have to just sort of adjust your knot so that that gets so it's the right size and shape for your project. And then if you gather your tails and hold them together and cut them together, then you'll get them the same length. And I always go for glue dots for securing ribbon. Now normally I'd put the ribbon in after everything else, but I want to make sure that I've got room for this, so I'm popping that ribbon in place there. Pop those glue dots back, and then we've got all our other elements that we can put into place. Okay, so let's just turn over all our little pieces, and I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back. So larger flower is going to need a couple, one each on the back of everything else will be sufficient. A couple on this sentiment. Larger flowers going in first. Build around it. So tuck that in there. There is on the background die, there is sort of it does look like you can fit the darker elements over the top, but I'm just using it as a decorative background. I'm not paying any attention to that. I don't think you really notice once everything's on there. Take all the backings off that, and then I'm going to build this up with our other little flowers across there. Pop our sentiment in where we want it to go, which I think will be around here. Okay, so we've got this nice cute little border going on. Okay, so again, dropping the flowers here and there. Okay, so you may want to think about where you want to put them, or maybe you don't want to use all the elements, so sometimes less is more. So I don't know whether I'm going to use this one this time. Just feels like it might be a little excessive if we put that up there, so maybe we'll not use that one. And then we've got some foliage to put in, so this is just going to have some wet glue put on. And again, I don't know whether I need all three of these, but we will have a look. So these can just slot in. Wherever we fancy. And actually a piece down here might not be a bad idea, so we will use that third piece. To bring in that green. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Okay, so there we go, there's our sort of structure there, and then these are the iridescent pastel gems. So I think they're Calypso Coral, Balmy Blue, and then I think they call them gold, but they're kind of a, I don't know, well, they're iridescent, so they're kind of a any colour, aren't they? They just sort of shine different colours. Okay, and I think they're called pastel because they're the subtles family, if you know what I mean, rather than them being particularly light in colour. So I'm just going to pop 3 of them just to sort of fill up that little portion at the back there, and that's it, it's all done. So this is Fresh Freesia Blackberry Bliss and Pear Bazaars we've put in there. Okay, alright, the original sample that we used on the blog hop. Remember, the link is in the description, just to go and have a look at that, because everyone's used something different. I don't think anybody else used two-tone flora, I don't think. But there's loads of different projects on there. And then I did have a mess about with some other colours. This is Blushing Bride and Sweet Sorbet. Okay, that I used on there. The flowers, I ended up using Flirty Flamingo on, because I just thought they looked better. This one's Blushing Bride, and this one's Flirty Flamingo, and I think the colour looked a bit better. Okay, and then that's Parakeet Party in the background, just to have the ink colour. So it's just another colour option, and then I use this nice burlap ribbons, because again we don't have any ribbons in those sort of reds colours. We do have the little skinny stuff, but I didn't think it was good for this project. Okay, so there we go. I hope you've enjoyed that. I think the blue one is my favourite, I think. I hope you've enjoyed watching that. Sorry, it was a bit of a clunky video today. But point was to demonstrate how to use that, and I think we've done that. All right. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. Hope you're staying safe. Take care. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.